When you play Pathfinder, especially virtually, you have a few options to go with. You can go with like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds, various other places. I tend to play on Foundry, and I have a few resources, a few modules that I really like. And I thought we'd kind of go over those today and see just which ones I'm currently using. Now, this is December 2023, and I'm currently running Foundry version 11 stable, build 315, and Pathfinder 2nd edition 5.11.1. That way, everybody kind of can know where my current build status is and see which Foundry modules definitely work. These are all available for the remaster, so let's go ahead and talk about it. My name is Don. I'm trying to be the SlyStrategist, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I thought we'd start this little look at Foundry with the action bars and the tooltips that I like to use. Now, I'm going to start out with Token Action HUD Core and Token Action HUD Pathfinder 2E. What this does is this allows you to select any one of your people in your party. If you're a player, you'd obviously be selecting your party, but if you're a GM, you can select any single creature that's on the board, and you can go ahead and take a look at what they can do. There are various options that you can do, and the big one that you can change is a good way to look at this is we'll do Crag with his strikes. He has these strikes. Everything is kind of laid out in a grid. You can also go ahead and edit this so that it is no longer a grid, but just fits the words and might not be quite as consistent as it is. Those are really the only main options you have. You can go ahead and drag this kind of anywhere you want on the screen, and you can also lock it in place so things can't be changed around. And when you lock it, you can no longer click on a button to drag the whole bar around. It's super useful. It definitely allows you to go in, especially when you have spellcasters that have a whole bunch of spells, and kind of have everything available for you. This is the one that I use when I'm recording videos because it allows me to do things. We'll go ahead and target this creature here. It allows you to do things and allow kind of everything to get out of the way and let you go ahead and do what you need to do. Now, the other one that I like is the PF2E Interactive Token Tooltip. And let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Now, with PF2E Interactive Token Tooltip, you no longer have a bar across the top. However, what you can do is when you roll over one of your players, your own player character, or if you're a GM, pretty much anyone on the board, you can go ahead and see a bunch of information. It'll give you hero points. It'll give you the level. It'll give you armor class, a bunch of different statistics, but you can also go down to actions. You can go down to equipment. You can go down to spells. And if you click on any of these, it'll open up similar to Token Action HUD. It'll allow you to select individual things that you can do that you have prepared. You can do spells, you can do actions. You can also do skills and do rolls on your skills, as well as extras, which are the things that allow you to do things in encounter, exploration, or downtime mode. These things would be available there. It is another very, very good way to be able to get actions that are normally on your character sheet without having to place them in the bar down here, but still have access to them. I kind of almost like this one a little bit better. However, the reason why I don't use it very much is because when I'm recording videos to kind of show on the channel, as you can see, this really gets in the way and takes up quite a bit of screen real estate. So it's hard for me to kind of explain how things are going through as you do them. Now, just like Token Action HUD, it allows you to go ahead and do things from this toolbar. So we can go ahead and kind of pull up and see what Electric Arc does. We can go ahead and cast it, which will allow us to roll the damage 3d4 plus 4 electricity. Go ahead and click on it, and it'll bring those out, and you can go ahead and apply the damage. After the saving throw is made, they would get a DC 23 basic reflex save. But it is just another way to interact with your character without having to go to your character sheet or have these hotbars totally filled up. I like both of them, and it kind of just depends on which one you would like to use. Now, for the next one I'd like to cover a combat tracker. And the combat tracker that I like to use is Carousel Combat Tracker. Now, if you want to do a combat, you can go ahead and highlight everybody that's on the screen as a GM, And you can just go ahead and go over to your encounter tab, add everybody to combat, and just roll for everybody's initiative, or allow the players to roll their own, depending on whether they want to roll for stealth or whether they want to roll for various things that they could do as they are trying to determine their initiative. Now in Foundry, you can just go ahead and right click on that and kind of pull it over to the side. And that way you can get back to your chat or whatever else you would like open. However, this does kind of get in the way. If you have multiple screens, you can go ahead and hit pop out, which is one of the other modules I have that I'm not really going to cover, but it just allows you to move things to other screens and take it out of the main Foundry screen and possibly give yourself some real estate there. But if you go ahead and look across the top, this is the carousel combat tracker. Pretty much what it does is it shows you where the initiative is going to start. As you can see here, Emily has an initiative of 31 and has a 31 here. They will start. And the nonchalant hobgoblin soldier has the lowest initiative down here, which is a 9. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this out because we actually don't need it anymore. But this allows you to go through the various combat stages. You can go ahead and move to the next turn. You can go to the next round. You can begin the encounter from here. You can add certain events, reset all the initiatives, and do the roll all, roll NPCs, previous turn, and previous round, and kind of go through all your combat rounds like this. I like the fact that it's visual. I like the fact that it shows everybody everything. One of the things I do like is it does show the amount of hit points that everybody has, if it is available for the character or the player to see what the hit points are. But there are various options you can go ahead and use for this. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of the options. And one of the things I actually like is that you can change the theme so that as things are going on, you can have an actual sounds that are available as you go through combat. I generally don't like to put that in there, but you can do it if you would like. You can go ahead and determine what is going to show up on the bottom. Right now, I have HP values showing up there. I like to show hero points or show anything along that line. You can go ahead and kind of have these all tracked on the actual portraits there. You can also configure the carousel, and you can basically make the carousel larger if you would like, and go ahead and save changes. And that way everything's a little bit more visible, a little bit easier to see. Go ahead and make the portraits different sizes depending on where they are in the turn. You can have it scroll. You can also have a carousel style where it's left justified. I like it centered personally. You can also have it do vertical, which is kind of interesting if you have this amount of space. And by doing vertical, then you can go ahead and do the alignment left or right. Let's go ahead and do a right alignment. And it would go ahead and put the carousel over here on the right-hand side, kind of however you would like it to look. And then there are other options that you can go ahead and go through. You can change the portrait aspect ratio to be a square. We'll go ahead and kind of show that one, which makes it a little bit more compact. You can go ahead and make it long, which goes ahead and extends them out. And you can also change the various colors as well as the bar's placement, tooltip colors, attribute visibility, a whole bunch of other settings that you can go ahead and go through and make this yours. I'm going to go ahead and quickly change it back to what my normal thing is, which I like horizontal. I like it centered, and I like the portrait aspect ratio as portrait. And one other thing is I have it as extra, extra large. I'm going to take it back down to a large, but you can see exactly how your combat is going to go, who's up next, but you can go ahead and track all the initiative, all the combat that's going on directly from here, as well as change statuses. You can make someone dead or make someone invisible or have them re-roll just by clicking on the icons that are on the carousel tracker. It's just a really quick way to do things very visually without having to click into submenus, and I do like it quite a bit. Now, the next category I'd like to get into is tokens. Tokens are pretty much the representation of the player characters as well as all the creatures in the game, so it's pretty important. One of the ones that I like a lot is I like Tokenizer. Tokenizer allows you to really kind of get in there and mess around with all the tokens for the characters and allows you to really personalize them. Let's go ahead and bring a character sheet up. And if you go ahead and see what the image looks like. This is what Ira looks like. However, if I want to change what his token looks like, this is Tokenizer. Tokenizer allows you to take other pictures and make them look how the player character or how you in your game would like them to make without just reusing the same image. It allows you to add layers. It allows you to change colors. It allows you to really do a lot. Once again, if you want to add additional frames, you can go ahead and add additional frames. Tokenizer really helps in order to make your tokens kind of pop and make them very unique to your game. Now, another one that I really like for tokens is token mold. Now, one of the big things I use it for, and it's mainly just for dealing with player characters and multiples of the same creature type. Like here, we have a thoughtless hobgoblin soldier, we have a nonchalant hobgoblin soldier, and we have a blunt hobgoblin soldier, as well as an insistent hobgoblin archer. It goes ahead and adds those adjectives to the beginning, which is kind of nice in order for you to say the insistent archer is the one that is attacking Crag, and the thoughtless hobgoblin soldier is the one that is attacking Imley. So this allows you to go ahead and name them and keep track of them a little bit better with the player characters, especially when you're playing virtually over audio. It does do a couple other things. It has some automatic token indexing, automatic token scaling according to the creature size and map grid distance. So it does do some additional things, but I mainly use it for the naming lists that kind of differentiate between all the different creatures that are on the board. Now I'd like to go ahead and get into dice. Dice is one of those other things that's very big for players. Even when you're playing virtually, you can go ahead and play with real dice. However, to actually see them on the screen, you can hear the rolls. It's kind of nice to do. And rolling dice is kind of fun. What Dice So Nice allows you to do is it allows you to customize your dice. So let's say you had a particular character and you wanted them to roll an intimidation. You can go ahead and hit the roll, and it shows you what those dice are. And you can hear the dice rolling, and it provides just a little bit of substance to the rolls rather than just the number showing up on the screen. And Dice So Nice also allows you to go into your settings, and you can roll through and hit Dice So Nice. And individual players can go ahead and customize their dice and make them whatever they would like to be. Various themes that they could do. We could do some leopard dice. We'll do red leopard, or we'll make it green leopard just to make it a little bit more standout-ish. Go ahead and hit save changes, and you can go ahead and try that same roll again. And now you're going to have green leopard dice. So if you ever have bad dice or you're always rolling poorly, and in normal cases you would put your dice in dice jail and bring out a new set, well, you can go ahead and change the animation, change the color, change the theme, and maybe change your dice luck around. Now, there's another dice-based module that I really like, and that would be Dice Tray. Dice Tray is what you see here down in the bottom right, and it is a way for you to go ahead. Let's say if your game master asks everybody to roll a D100, you can just click on the button and hit roll, and it will go ahead and roll those for you. If you want to roll multiples of a particular die, let's say you wanted to roll 3d10, you could just click that 3 times, go ahead and roll, and you roll 3d10. It just makes it very easy to go ahead and do different types of rolls. You can do public roll, private GM roll, blind GM roll, and a self roll, so only you see it. But it kind of makes it a little bit easier because otherwise you would have to do the typing yourself. In order to get a D20, you would do /R space D20. And you could roll that D20. Well, here you just go ahead and click it and hit the roll button. And you can roll it that way. I do happen to like the dice tray a lot because there are a lot of cases when you're not just going to be clicking on something out of the chat window, but it might be a secret roll. It might be something that isn't going to be necessarily straight in your skills that you can go ahead and roll on. So it's a good way to go ahead and get other dice rolls in. Now, the last dice-based module I'd like to talk about is Dice Stats. Now, Dice Stats is actually done by someone who watches a channel, and I appreciate them. They actually let me know about this. And what you can do is click on the dice stats icon and click on any one of the particular types that you have here. And you can look at all the dice stats, maybe for this game, maybe for the entirety of the adventure path. It just depends on how you have it set up and how you have it configured. You can refresh the stats. You can clear all roll data. You can clear just the local data. You can clear the database data, and you can load all the data from the database. But it allows you really just to compare how many 16s did you get on a D20 in a particular session or a particular adventure path. Or if you want to go to the player side of it, you can compare players and just click on any particular checkbox here. I hadn't been tracking it, but just compare who gets better rolls on their 20s or who gets more damage on their D6. It's a good way to track stats. I don't particularly know for my playstyle, it's very useful. I know for people who do optimize and who do kind of do DPR type stats, I know it would be super helpful for that. And it's a very good module for statistics. Now I'm going to bring up some basic utility ones that I think are pretty important, pretty nice, and super helpful when you're trying to play the game. The first one is going to be break time. Now I know there's a lot of times, especially when you're playing virtually with people that are all over the country, all over the world, you might be in different time zones. So you might say, let's take a 10-minute break and come back at 5 minutes to the hour. You could do that, and then everybody gets back and they're on Discord or they're using whatever chat program they're using, and then they have to talk and say, well, I'm back. Is anybody else back? Who else is back? And everybody has to get off mute. Or there is a module called break time, which I really like. You can go ahead and see in this little player section here. If I click on break time, it's going to go ahead and bring up all the players in the game. This is me here as well as myself on another computer. But you can go ahead and mark yourself back. And let's say that you come back from a game, or let's say that my other players come back. But somebody needed to leave because the doorbell rang or they had to go into the bathroom real quick. Well, they can go ahead and before everybody else comes back and before the session restarts, they can leave again and it'll show up as red. And then when they're back, it'll show up as green. And this way you can kind of see that everybody's checked in or everybody's checked out, and you know when people are actually back and when you can go ahead and start your session again. Seems super easy, seems super simple, but it is so useful for the times that you need it, and I really like it a lot. Now, the other utility one I'd like to talk about is Quick Insert Search Widget. If you go ahead and install this, it isn't necessarily visible on the screen until you do a specific thing. When you hit Control Space, you're going to see a little window show up in the middle of your screen, and you can go ahead and type in whatever you want. That would be in any compendium in Foundry. We'll do treat wounds, so you could go ahead and click on treat wounds and bring that up. It is super helpful, especially if you are trying to, let's say, set a character up with some new skills, new feats, new spells. You can go ahead and bring that character up and maybe go to their actions and say, well, I would like the person to be able to aid at any given time. So I can go ahead and hit Control Space, type in aid, and you see aid there as a reaction. I can just drag it into my character sheet and it'll automatically show up there. So it's super handy. If you know the names of what you would like to do, it allows you to quickly bring things in. If you would like to bring a particular character onto the screen, you hit Control Shift. And I want to bring a skeletal soldier onto the board. I can go ahead and drag that on. And now I have a skeletal soldier. I don't have a token set up for it. But if you're a GM, you can go ahead and bring creatures onto the battlefield just like that. Super easy, super quick, really helpful during combat. Now, the last little category I'd like to kind of cover is animations. Animations are great because they can kind of bring your games to life a little bit if you really want to, especially if you have a really good hit, a really good strike, something really cool has happened. So let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and be Crag. So Crag comes up and it is his turn. So he's going to go ahead and target the Thoughtless Hobgoblin Soldier. So he's going to go ahead and try a strike with his Dwarven War Axe. He's going to attempt to swing. He's going to roll for it. And you're going to see that little animation there that shows that the strike happened. And then you would go ahead and roll your damage and continue along with the combat. And I do think these little animations kind of gamified a little bit, kind of make it feel like maybe you may be in an MMORPG or that you're actually playing, but it does bring it a little bit more to life. It brings a little bit more flavor to the game, and I love those animations. And that is JB2A, which is Jules and Ben's animated assets. They do have a Patreon, and I'll go ahead and include that in the description down below where you can get additional animations. And there are a bunch of things you can do. It works for spells, it works for weapon strikes. We'll go ahead and just kind of pick Anseal and have him target the same exact creature, and we'll go ahead and do a spell. And the produce flame, go ahead and shot a little firebolt out at the creature. So these little animations do help bring the game to life a little bit. And then another animation, one that I'd like to talk about, is PF2E animations. As you saw with Jules and Ben's animated assets, it kind of does a lot of interactions with weapons and spells. However, PF2E animations does a lot with the tokens and the visualizations of standing spells that I really like a lot. So let's go ahead and bring up Ira real quick and have them kind of cast a guidance spell, because guidance is great, especially if you're a priest. So spell effect guidance, we can go ahead and grab that, and he wanted to cast it on Crag. So we'll drag that spell effect onto Crag, and you'll see the animation comes in showing that the spell was cast on Crag, and now you have this little glow around Crag that shows you that he has guidance. If we ever go to Crag, you can see that he has guidance, and he can choose to use it when he chooses to use it. It's just a way to illustrate, bring the game to life, add a little bit of flavor, and I think that's what Foundry has in spades over many other virtual tabletops, is the amount of flavor that you can add and the individuality you can add, because you can add these modules as they come up, as you like. Maybe this is too busy for you. Maybe the combat tracker could be a bit too much. That's fine. You don't need to use it. Foundry provides that framework, and then you get to choose your modules. These are the modules I like, and other people have different modules that they like, and it's fantastic that there's variations in the system. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say this was any type of top 10 or I guess top 13 list, because I didn't really do them in order. I kind of did them in categories. But these are the main modules that I like, that I feel add a lot to the games that I play, and the games that I GM, and kind of bring these games to life. If you have other modules that you like, I would love to hear about it, simply because I'm always looking for new modules. I kind of enjoy experimenting. I enjoy playing. However, I don't like too busy of a screen, and I feel like I'm kind of on the verge of a busy screen as I stand right now. So I probably have to take something out to put something in. However, that's the setup that I use, and I hope you enjoy the description of the ones that I like to use. Now, I will include links to all of these in the description below. If you are on the Forge, which I am, it's super easy to install these. You just have to go to the marketplace and search for the ones you like and go ahead and hit the install button, and it's kind of done. However, it's super easy to install if you're self-hosting or hosting on another site. So all these should be available to you. And once again, the links to them will be in the description below. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.